Hi hash browns, how are you? It's Ms Jody here, and my helper today is Ryder. That's my son. So we are going to talk about our tree study. And I thought it'd be a good time to do that because a lot of the trees in our community right now are changing. And with us being home, I know a lot of us are taking walks. So it would be kind of a fun activity to talk about what different trees do. All right, Ryder, are you ready? Okay, so first thing, question of the day. Do you have a favorite tree near your home or in your neighborhood? And if so, why is it your favorite tree? My favorite tree is here at our house, and it's an apple tree. It's not very tall, and it's not very small, but it's really wide. Our apple tree grows on a trellis so that the arms and branches reach out really, really far, and it keeps it kind of shorter so that my kids can run over and pick an apple and eat it whenever they want to during the summertime. It's pretty neat. So, did you know that all trees and basically anything, any plant starts with a seed? Well, how do we get that seed to grow? We take this seed and we plant it in some soil. And after you plant it in some soil and you give it sun and water, it turns into a seedling. And though these are not trees, these are actually some sunflowers that we have started here at our home to grow in our garden. It's a good example of how things grow. So if you look really, really close, I have quite a few tall ones. And then this little guy right here, do you see him right there? He's kind of small, but he still has the seed that we planted in the soil that's sprouting. And soon this will grow big and tall and be a beautiful sunflower. See right here? You can see, maybe if I can get it, you can see, where is it? This little guy? Do you see this little guy right here? He's actually poking through the soil. So he just started sprouting. So you put the seed in the soil. Try and scoot it back so you guys can see it. It's kind of hard here. All right. So you plant the seed in the soil. So I'm going to take the seed. You put it in the soil and you bury it. Bury it in there. Okay. And then you give it lots of sun and water, and then it turns into this little guy, and then this guy, and then this. And then you would take this and plant this outside. So these are called seedlings. Once they get big enough to go outside, the next one is called a sapling. And a sapling is what you would actually probably go and buy at the garden stores with your mommies and daddies or grandmas and grandpas or aunts and uncles. And you would plant those ones in your yard. Okay, go ahead, turn the page. So there are 3 parts to a tree. 1, 2, 3. There's the crown. And the crown is what's made up of all of the branches and leaves, and the twigs, and sticks and flowers, and even sometimes pine cones. We all know what these are. We talked a lot about these in October. So, the crown is made up of the leaves, the branches, and the twigs. Sunshine helps the leaves change. Okay, and then we have what's called the woody stem. This is the trunk of the tree. and then you have the small roots. Sometimes they're small and there's others that are large. The larger roots are what actually helps keep the trees from tipping over in a really rainy rainstorm or in a really windy windstorm. So, okay, let's talk about, where do trees grow? Where do trees go? If you used your looking eyes and you looked out the window, do you see any trees out there? Trees can grow pretty much anywhere. Go ahead, turn the page. As long as they have soil, water, and sun, a tree can grow. Now, there are many different kinds of trees, just like us. There's many different types of people, right? There's many different types of trees too. And there's different ways that they grow. Now here in Ridgefield, I know lots of us are taking walks. So if you were walking down the street on our sidewalks here in Ridgefield, you have probably seen how the sidewalks are lined with trees. Those are actually considered a grove. So groves are a row or a cluster of trees. Now, how many of you have been down to Abrams Park? Abrams Park, there's lots of trees down there. And did you know that if you went past the baseball or softball fields, there's a trail that goes up in there? That's actually called a forest. So, forest. Okay. What kind of trees stay green all year? So we've noticed that some of our trees have changed since we've been out of school. When we left school, a lot of the trees were still bare. They had just little twigs and sticks and branches, but there was nothing on them. You could look right through them. But now they're starting to bloom, and they're getting little tiny leaves or little flowers. But there are some trees that stay green all the time. And those trees are actually here where we live. They're pine trees. They're actually called evergreens. And evergreens and spruce pine trees, they have sharp green little needles. And they can live both in cold or warm climates. How many of you know what this tree is right here? That's a palm tree. And palm trees, they grow in warmer, rainier climates. Palm trees have hard, broad leaves that are kind of like a fan. You'll find them in different places like Hawaii, California, places where it's really hot. Did you actually know too that these trees grow coconuts? Yeah, coconuts. Now, what kind of trees lose their leaves? We talked about the ones that stay green all year round, but there are trees, like we just talked about, that are starting to wake up now. In the wintertime, they went to sleep, so they lost all of their leaves. What kind of trees are those? Hey, Ryder, do you know what that word is?
Deciduous.
Deciduous. That's kind of a hard but fun word. Deciduous. Deciduous trees lose their leaves. So in the autumn time, they turn beautiful colors of red and orange and yellow, and then they fall off. These kind of trees are maple trees, elm trees. Okay. Now, my favorite kind of tree. Let's talk about that. What kind of tree grows food? If we look at this book, what is that? What is that? It's an orange. Yes, we have food that grows on a tree. So what kind of food actually would grow on a tree? Ryder, do you want to pull something out of our treasure box?
Apple.
Apple. Apples grow on a tree. What other kind of fruit or grows? Avocado. Avocados. We really like avocados in our house. And did you know that if you actually cut this open, inside is a great big seed. And you could plant that seed in water and try and grow an avocado tree. Though we probably wouldn't be very successful in getting any fruit, it's still a lot of fun to try. What's another one that grows on a tree? Lemons. We also really like lemons in our house. We love to put this in our water. Lemons also grow in a very warm climate. So you would find these in a place where palm trees would grow. So Hawaii, California, Florida. But these guys right here, we grow the best apples in Washington. My favorite variety is actually the Honeycrisp, which is this one right here. Okay, turn the page. So we learned that trees, we can grow food on them. Okay, now let's talk about what lives in our trees. What kind of animals live in a tree? We talked about this earlier in the year. We studied an animal that lived in a nest and sometimes in a barn too. And they are a nocturnal animal. Can you think about what that might be? I'll give you a hint. He says, whoo. Yeah, an owl. An owl lives in a tree. Let's see, what other kind of animals live in a tree? We know that lots of different kind of birds live in a tree. But what about this guy? He's a sneaky, pesty guy. Yes, the raccoon. Did you know that raccoons, the mother raccoon, keeps her babies safe in the den? And if you look, you might even see her hiding in there. There are some frogs that like to live in trees too. They're called a tree frog. And we all know about squirrels. Squirrels definitely love our trees, don't they? Now, what is the biggest tree in the world? Ryder, do you know what the biggest tree in the world is?
A redwood.
A redwood. Look at how big this is. Look at how big that is. In California, there's the redwood forest. And there used to be a tree that was so tall and so wide that you could actually drive your car through the trunk of that tree. All right. Go ahead and try this. Okay. Now let's talk about small trees, because trees come in all different sizes, right? Just like us. There's small trees. And a small tree is actually called a bonsai. So bonsai tree. Little bonsai. Now, is that tree bigger or smaller than the little girl? That's right, smaller. Okay. All right. How do we enjoy trees? There are many different kinds of ways to enjoy trees. So, Ryder, your favorite thing to do in a tree is what?
Climbing.
He loves to climb in the trees. Yes. There's also rope swings. You could be in a tire swing. Or what about build a tree house? Yes. Okay, turn the page. See? Look at that. On a tree swing. All right. My favorite thing to do in the summertime when the trees are really have all of their leaves and they're bloomed and they're beautiful, we like to sit underneath the walnut tree. When it's really hot outside, we can get shady. And then we have actually a rope swing, 2 rope swings on that tree that the kids can swing from. All right. How do we know the age of a tree? Do you know how, Ryder? How do you know the age of a tree? We have something over here, Ryder has. It's called a wood cookie. And if you look really, really close, there's rings on this. And that tells you the age of the tree. So if you counted each ring, that would tell you the age of the tree. So we could actually count this one here. Whoa, look at all of those rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. That's pretty old for a tree. All right. So we need to take good care of our trees. Without trees, the air wouldn't smell sweet, and we wouldn't have the delicious snacks that they provide, or the happiness that we get from them all year round. Trees give us so much. So when you have a chance, say thank you and plant a new tree. Okay. All right, friends. So I am going to teach you our little tree poem. Here we go. So I'm going to say it first, just like we do at school, okay? So it's my turn, and then it will be your turn, okay? This tree is wide. Your turn. My turn. This tree is tall. Your turn. This tree is thin. Your turn. And this tree is small. Your turn. Beautiful trees. Your turn. I see with my eyes. Your turn. But this one I like best. Your turn. It's exactly my size. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed this little tree study, and we will continue next week. Bye, hash browns.